What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at your levels again through the power of the internet. And today I want to talk to you about my love of edgy comedy, specifically my Francis character and why I stopped doing my Francis character as often, though I do have plans to bring him back for the holiday season, just a forewarning. There are several reasons that I stopped doing Francis as often on the channel. I think the most obvious one was that my ex-wife, who helped me write and film the videos, she and I got a divorce, so half of the team that made Francis happen was gone, and that just kind of took a lot of the fun out of it for a while. Not to mention the depression and misery that came from going through a divorce. Also, back in 2017, we saw some really big changes to the way that YouTube monetized videos, known as the adpocalypse. And because of that, the kinds of videos that I was making, the Francis videos with all of the screaming and all of the swearing, that stuff stopped getting advertisements on it. So I was spending all of this money breaking a television, breaking an Xbox, hiring people to help me do it and to play as actors in the video and making $0 back. So it just made no sense to keep doing it. But there was a third reason that I felt this way, and it's because my taste for edgy comedy had gotten me in trouble. Specifically when it came to live streaming, some of the jokes that I would make on live stream were being taken as serious and actually stuff that I meant. And that sent me on a deep dive about edgy comedy and why I personally didn't want to do that kind of comedy anymore, and why even if you tune in on my live streams, I do less of it now. And don't get me wrong, to this day, I still enjoy edgy comedy. I enjoyed the latest Dave Chappelle series on Netflix. I listen to Bill Burr every once in a while. I still like a lot of Louis C.K.'s comedy, and I still go back and listen to Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Sam Kinison when they were at their raunchiest and just most inappropriate. Even though I love a good edgy joke, and even though I listen to edgy jokes, I don't feel the need to put that out into the world anymore as part of my brand, or even really tell those jokes in private. Back in the late 90s and the early 2000s, before a lot of you guys were even born, I was making edgy jokes on my adult blogs on 4chan elsewhere, and the type of edgy humor I make then certainly would get me canceled today. In fact, people have dug it up to try to get me canceled today because of the edgy jokes I made 20 years ago. A lot of that humor that you saw on 4chan then was certainly sexist, homophobic, transphobic, racist. I have to admit, the jokes that I was reading there and even posting sometimes myself were just the worst of the worst. But that was the thing. In my mind, they were only jokes. In my mind, it was okay to pretend to be racist as long as you're not actually racist. It's okay to pretend to be homophobic as long as you're not actually homophobic. And in the case of Francis, it was okay to pretend to be a complete and utter asshole as long as you weren't actually a complete and utter asshole. What I have learned since then is, even though me as the author of the joke may not mean the joke, that doesn't mean that the audience won't take it as serious. And obviously it's bad enough when somebody takes one of my jokes and says, look, he actually means this, because it's taken out of context, right? I don't want people out there thinking that I'm homophobic or racist or an asshole, or like on Reddit, begging you for a Tesla when clearly that was never the case. Obviously, you can get canceled when people think that you are being serious about something like that. And there's also another argument to be made there, but I want to save it, because there's something much worse than being canceled by people who think you mean the joke. Let's imagine I tell a joke about two fat guys walking into a bar, and clearly I don't have a problem with fat people. I'm just pretending I do for the premise of the joke. For people out there who actually hate fat people, they'll believe you're serious, and worse yet, they believe you agree with them. That's one of the reasons a long time ago I decided that even if I found sexist, racist, homophobic jokes to be funny, because they're just jokes, I wasn't going to tell those types of jokes anymore. In fact, I probably wouldn't listen to them either. But unfortunately, that's also one of the reasons I wanted to stop doing the Francis characters, that I found out that a lot of people actually believed I was that way, maybe even in secret. They believed that I was abusive to the people in my life, that I would break stuff, that I would destroy stuff, and worse yet, they related to the character rather than hating him, which is the entire point of the character, is to hate Francis because he's an asshole. Like, don't get me wrong, if you're still watching my videos to this day, then you know me pretty well, you know the truth about me, and obviously you know I'm not that kind of a person. You were in on the joke, you were aware that I was making fun of that type of person, the person I might have been had I not made some progress in my life. But more and more frequently, as the internet got more and more divided, I saw two groups of people. The groups of people who thought that I was secretly actually a monster and for some reason leaking that in a character that I played on a web series. But the more I saw on Reddit and the more I saw on Twitter, the more I realized that there was a group of people who liked Francis because they were shitty assholes, and they related to Francis because Francis was also a shitty asshole, and they didn't dislike the character. They emulated him. And if you go back and you look at the Francis that I did post 2018, combined with the weight loss and the fact that I tried to make the character a little less believable and a lot more cartoonish, the character just didn't work. Not that I don't plan to continue to try. I really like doing the character, but I just want to do it in a way that it's pretty clear everyone, even the dumbest among us, is in on the joke. Unfortunately, there are some really dumb people out there. There are going to be people in this comment section swearing I'm gaslighting in this video because they are so utterly convinced that I'm some sort of secret monster, and they'll never accept otherwise. Now, what prompted this video, and I put it here towards the end because I know most people won't make it this far, is that I watched the latest Dave Chappelle special, and I actually liked it quite a bit. And I consider myself an LGBTQ plus ally, and have done what I can to support that particular group of people. But at the same time, I enjoyed the special, even though I didn't agree with 98% of the things that Dave had to say. I appreciated the character that he plays on stage. I appreciated his counterpoint to the points that I would make, because it gave me a better understanding of how people, like this character Dave is playing on stage, feels about things, and hopefully that makes me a better ally if I have a better understanding of what the opposition believes. After watching the special, I tweeted out that I enjoyed the special, even though I consider myself an ally, and that I thought it was worth a watch, and that ended exactly how you thought it would. But I think Dave's special does a really good job for people like you and me to better understand these issues and the different points of view surrounding them. Unfortunately, the very stupid people around us either take Dave as serious for everything he says, or worse yet, they believe that he believes the same thing they do, and that he's some sort of signal booster dog whistle for their really, truly evil, problematic thought processes, and they thought I agreed with Dave too. What a world. That said, even though I choose not to make as edgy a humor or edgy humor very often anymore, I don't believe we should let that small group of people destroy the concept of edgy humor, especially when it can be introspective and it can be educational and it can be something that can help us better understand people who disagree with us. I think that can be very useful, and I like that. I honestly do. I will always consume that type of content. I'll even recommend it, even if I choose not to do that myself, because let's be honest, I'm way stupider than Dave Chappelle or any of the other comedians I've mentioned in this video. I want to start making less jokes about killing hookers and eating them and snorting cocaine off of their bodies, and more jokes about cartoonish versions of Francis. And I'm working on a Halloween script. I hope we get it filmed in time. I'm working on a Thanksgiving script, and I'm working on a Christmas series with the character, just to film it because I want to film it and because I know some of you still care enough to watch it. And that's enough reason for me. Just do me a favor and be aware of the risk I'm taking when I make these videos. You know what's going to happen. That said, as always, I could be wrong. I'd love to know your opinion on these topics. Let me know in the comments section below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I love you very much, and I will speak with you again soon. And feel free to tell me an edgy joke down there. I love them. Just don't be serious about it. Don't actually mean it. If you actually mean it, get the hell off my channel and shut the hell up.